Brand new iPads are finally here, but are they really worth the upgrade? After a year-plus long hiatus, Apple is finally once again showing the iPad lineup some love, but it still feels like something is missing with the iPad. I'm just not convinced this is actually worth it. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me break down what Apple just announced at the event, tell you what Apple was letting loose at their first event of 2024, and tell you if it's worth it or not to upgrade to the iPad. And if you do an upgrade, let me tell you iPad Air versus iPad Pro, here's what I recommend. Okay, so Apple just wrapped up their very first event of the year, and like all the leaks and rumors suggested, and even Apple themselves sort of playing into this, yes, the event was pretty much focused all around new iPads and iPad accessories, and there's a lot we can cover here. There's some new software stuff, some hardware stuff, but let me start first with the iPad Air, as I think the iPad Air actually is like the best iPad you can buy in 2024. On the surface, sort of design-wise, the new iPad Air looks very similar to the previous gen iPad Air that we had just a couple of days ago, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Apple has really done a great job of embracing this modern industrial design, really ever since the iPad redesign back in 2018. And the iPad Air, even still in 2024, even if the design really didn't change all that much, still looks fresh, modern, and new, and you're getting a really great tablet for the price. In terms of design, really one of the only changes that you may or may not notice is the repositioning of the selfie camera. As the leaks had alluded to, Apple has now repositioned it in a landscape orientation and not the portrait orientation, which actually I think does sort of make sense because if you're doing a video call on an iPad, I feel like most people aren't doing it like this, but they're doing it like this. So I feel like that was probably a long overdue change, so nice to see that here on the new Airs. Probably the biggest change, though, to the iPad Air lineup is the addition of an all-new larger screen iPad Air. Yes, those leaks and rumors were true, and the iPad Air now comes in a bigger size and footprint, which gives you the large screen iPad experience, but won't break the bank, or at least it won't break the bank as much as the new iPad Pro 12.9, but we'll come back to that more in a second. Basically, this all-new larger iPad Air is giving you a bigger, better iPad experience with a larger footprint. It's not going to be getting ProMotion, unfortunately. It's also not going to be getting any upgraded display technology, no mini LED, no OLED here. But even with that said, it's still a really good screen. Apple knows how to do really good LCD displays, and basically if you've wanted a larger iPad screen for watching movies, playing games, reading articles, emails, I don't know, my parents play Candy Crush, I'm trying to think of more use cases here. Basically, if you wanted a larger iPad screen experience, but you don't need all the bells and whistles of the Pro, you finally have an option that didn't exist before, because before, if you wanted a large screen iPad, you had to go Pro, but not anymore. The new Air is available in 4 colors: blue, purple, starlight, space gray. Of course, it's rocking the M2 chip inside, so a little newer Apple Silicon inside for you there. And then a new base storage, 128 gigs, which is nice to see. And then pricing on this is, of course, going to be interesting. It's going to be $599 for the 11-inch model, and the all-new larger 13-inch model is going to be, as sort of the leak suggested, $799, available to order today, and going to be available to actually purchase and pick up sometime next week. Okay, so that's what's new with the iPad Air, but next let's move to the iPad Pro. This was really the star of the show. We were all sort of anticipating some larger upgrades here to finally come to the iPad Pro, and Apple did not disappoint. They gave us some new upgrades and features, with probably the biggest one, of course, being with that display. What's interesting here is that Apple really touted a redesign for the iPad Pro this year, but the design really didn't change, at least in my opinion, all that much, which isn't a bad thing. iPad Pro still looks really great, but they did tout this new impossibly thin design. Basically, the iPad Pros are now thinner than they've ever been before, and again, coming in 2 sizes, 11-inch and no longer 12.9, but now rebranded to a 13-inch model. On the screen side of things, yes, the rumors were true. Apple is finally upgrading the displays from mini LED technology over to OLED displays. So these are sort of some of the highest end sort of display panels and display technology that you can get now in 2024. And basically it's giving you, pixel per pixel level control that OLEDs are known for. You're getting those inky blacks. It's a bright, vibrant display. Basically, instead of groups or zones of pixels being sort of lit up or not, as was the case with mini LED, you got that pixel level control on OLED. Basically, you're getting some really great displays on these new iPads, and if you want a great movie watching experience and you really care about the display quality on your iPad, then the all-new iPad Pros are gonna be the way to go, because these are the best screens you can get, and basically, if you like the screen on your iPhone, you like the OLED display on here and you want it in a bigger size, then there you go. New iPad Pros are gonna be the way to go. There's also for the first time a nano texture option, which is nice to see. So if you do want sort of a matte anti-glare option for iPad Pro, that is now an option. And then also, of course, this has some new Apple Silicon inside, the M4 chip, which Apple touts as being faster, more powerful, more efficient, basically giving you all the latest and greatest Apple Silicon in the iPad Pro, which sort of seems like it's overkill, but Apple touts all of its power and versatility and AI use, basically saying it's like 50% faster than M2 and gonna give you all the power you need for the new versions of Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro and other Pro apps you're gonna use on that new iPad Pro. Basically, you've got all the power and horsepower you need for what should be a pretty seamless, iPad software experience. It's available in 2 colors. Also, the camera is now in the landscape orientation like iPad Air. And also, I don't know if you caught this, but Apple actually removed the ultra-wide lens from the iPad Pro. Still has LiDAR, but has replaced it with a True Tone flash. And Apple sort of touts this as a new feature for scanning documents. I mean, not a bad feature, but I'm not kidding. This was a real thing. And yeah, no longer an ultra-wide lens on the iPad Pro if you care about that thing. It's got 256 gigabytes of base storage capacity. 11-inch version is $999. 13-inch version is $1299. Like the iPad Air, you can order today, like right now. And again, it'll be available sometime next week. But that was actually not the only hardware we got at this event, because in addition to new iPad Airs and iPad Pros, we also got some new iPad accessories unveiled at the Let Loose event too. There's an all-new Magic Keyboard available in 2 colors, and this is sort of more refined and a bit of a redesign from the one we had before. You now have a new row of function keys, which should make the keyboard, no pun intended, a little bit more functional, and also a larger trackpad area as well, with some haptic feedback built in to make this, again, more like an actual Apple laptop. And then there is also Apple Pencil Pro, which has a host of new features with the ability to sort of roll the pencil and a new way to have this like quick tool thing by squeezing the bottom of the pencil. Basically a more precise, more versatile pencil with haptic feedback built in as well, giving you more control over your illustrations and animations and whatever you want to use the Apple Pencil for on the iPad. Basically, it just got better with the Apple Pencil Pro, which actually does work on the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. Okay, so now that you know what Apple just announced, I think many of you, like me, are asking 2 big questions, and those are, should I upgrade my current iPad and get one of these new ones? And if I do decide to upgrade, what do I do? Do I spend the money and go iPad Pro, or save my money and go iPad Air? Let me try to answer those questions from my current perspective, because I still have a 2020 iPad Pro, and to be honest, even after this event and the hype of the event, I'm still not convinced I actually need to upgrade. I don't know if Apple realized that back in 2018 when they gave us the redesigned iPad Pro, that they were really doing themselves a disservice, because that iPad was so fresh and so modern and so new and so good that so many people just haven't felt the need to upgrade all the way since then, 5 years ago. And now as we're in 2024 and Apple continues to try to push the iPad and new advancements and features, all those are well and good, but I think honestly it really comes down to how you use the iPad on whether or not it's worth the upgrade or not. I know for me that I'm one of those people that I want to love the iPad, I want to make it my laptop replacement, I want to be able to edit videos and photos and do all that stuff on it. But honestly, all I use my iPad for is watching YouTube videos at the gym, maybe some movies on a plane ride, maybe scrolling through social media, but really that's about the extent of my usage. I don't honestly even need this iPad Pro, but I was sort of suckered into it from the hype and all that stuff. And yeah, I think like most people, I thought I was gonna use this thing a bunch and really don't use it as much as I thought I would. In fact, this is a 2020 iPad Pro. It doesn't have an Apple M series chip inside. The screen is cracked. I dropped a microphone on there and there's like a crack there and it's like sort of expanding out like a spider web. And I still use it because it's fine. I just sort of use it for watching YouTube videos. I never take pictures on it. The ProMotion makes everything feel super fast. It's never felt sluggish, even with the A12Z. So for me, it's probably not worth the upgrade. And if you're like me and you really just use this for watching movies and playing games, it might not be worth the upgrade unless you do have an older iPad. Maybe it's starting to slow down, or maybe you have a lower tier iPad and you're looking to upgrade to an Air or Pro. In that case, then we get to our next question, which is, okay, you're looking to upgrade, but which new model do you get? I think the simplest way I can answer that question is by saying this. If you're someone who cares about the specs of iPad Pro, like you really love the OLED display and you love the cutting edge Apple Silicon chip and the power it gives you, and you want full control over all the Apple ecosystem of accessories and all the iPad stuff, then you probably want to go iPad Pro. It's definitely an investment, but if you appreciate that stuff, you really want the best display quality, and also if you're someone who edits photos and videos on your iPad, like you're really going to utilize the power of that M series chip, then it might actually be worth the investment to go in and get a higher end iPad Pro. With that said though, if you're looking to use the iPad a bit more casually, you just like watching movies and playing games, you don't need an OLED display or the best of the best, you just want something that's fast, reliable, and gonna be good for the next couple of years to come, and to sort of future-proof yourself a bit, then I think the iPad Air is gonna be a really good way to go. You're still getting a really great modern design, you're getting a great feature set, you're getting a fast processor, a really good display, and now you're getting multiple display size options as well. I think the iPad Pro is great, and if you like those Pro features, then go for it. But honestly, if you're on the fence about it and you feel like the iPad Air might be enough, I think I'd probably go iPad Air. I think for most people that is going to be the way to go. It's giving you the sweet spot of most features. And yeah, just I think generally, no matter which way you go, I think all of us can appreciate that Apple is finally showing some love to the iPad line again. I also should mention that it might not be a bad idea to wait on an iPad purchase until WWDC happening in just a couple of weeks, where we will get the next version of iPadOS unveiled to us at that event. That should be when we see all the new features and what Apple can really utilize this new hardware for. So might not be a bad idea to wait a bit, see what happens with the software side. Then you might be able to better know, okay, do I want to invest the extra money and go Pro, or save the money and go Air, or even just decide if it's whether, or not it's worth it to even upgrade and get one of these newer chips and experiences, or just to stick, like me, just sort of stick with what you got. Because even though I don't have, Stage Manager or any of that new stuff, but honestly, it's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's just how I use the iPad. But anyways, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this? What were your thoughts on the Let Loose event? Was it worth watching? Or was it worth just sort of getting the highlights from? And also your thoughts on these iPad upgrades. Do you think they're worth the upgrade? Do you think they're not? What do you think about the pricing and the features? And are you upgrading? If so, which iPad model are you going with? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying tuned for the latest Apple news. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle, and I'll see you all in the next one.